Hello, hello. I am live. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you can hear me, let me know in the chat where you're joining from. Hi, La Dolce Vita. Yes, you have the right time. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. I realized my presentation, I forgot to add some key slides, so that was the delay. But I am here now. If you can hear me, where are you joining from? So glad that you could join. I've got a lot of updates to cover with you. I can hardly believe that we are in the middle of April. Time is just flying by, and I have been a busy bee. If you are new here and don't know me, my name is Patricia Brooks. And 7 years ago, I decided to turn my life upside down and quit my job and move to the south of France to find myself. And over the course of the last 3 years or so, I decided I was going to start a business here. And so now I help people who are ready to start the next chapters of their lives living and thriving in a foreign country, dig down and find the determination, the wherewithal, the courage, the confidence to make it happen. Because so often we want to do something, but something big that has so much uncertainty causes us to pause and stop and delay. And I am here to help you through that. And on my YouTube channel, I share stories about my life in France. I help you to find the confidence and courage to do the things that matter most to you. And I do these live streams from time to time. And I am so glad that you are all here with me today. So, who do we have joining? Hi, Stephanie. Stephanie from New York. Welcome. Sharon. Hi, Sharon. So glad that you could join. My video is a bit wonky. I'm not clear. Is that what you're saying? I don't know what's going on with my internet. If that's the case, let me know. I look crystal clear on my end, so that's the reason that I'm not sure. But let me know if my video is not right. And La Dolce Vita is joining from Italy. I was just in Italy last week. Really enjoyed myself there. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And hi, Robin from Chicago. All right. And we've got Dion from Las Vegas. Bonjour. So glad that you're here. We've got Ella from New Jersey. What part of New Jersey? I'm from New Jersey. I'm from South Jersey, a town called Willingboro. All right. And we got Stephanie. Sharon Anderson. Hi. It's been a while. We got, let's see who else we got here. We've got, you've been binging on my videos and can relate to so many. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you for sharing that with me. We've got Nodalities from Chicago. Craigslist. Oh, okay. It's Renee from Nice. Yes, we finally got to meet in person. I got some pictures to share of our Nice meetup later on. All right. My video is blurry, which is not the case on other YouTube videos, but then they're not live. Yeah, I'm not sure because the other live streams I've done with somebody else, they're crystal clear and I am not. So I'm going to have to figure out, if that's the case, I'm going to have to figure out what's going on because I can't be blurry. I need to be crystal clear. Thank you, Sharon, for sharing that with me. Natina, we had a good session today. Yes, from North Dakota, where she shared with me it was 70 degrees one day and 21 degrees the next, Fahrenheit, that is. All right. So I'm going to jump in. Thank you, everybody, for joining live. If you're watching the replay, thank you for watching the replay. I've got a lot to cover, so I want to jump in. This video is just an update about what's happened in my life over the last 3 months. And I want to start off with something that started the end of last year. End of last year, I was feeling a little bit discouraged as a woman, feeling like I didn't really have as much power or authority over my life as I thought I had. And that for me felt odd because here I am, a life coach, somebody who has done some pretty big things, changed her life pretty significantly. And I was feeling like, I feel like I just don't have as much power as I thought I did. And so what that led me to think about was creating a safe space for women to join once a month, where we would have conversations that would help lift us up, to build strategies to help us feel more empowered and take more control over our lives and feel like the powerful, strong people we are. And so that gave rise to what I call Women Rising Roundtables. Now, this was something I wanted to start in January. I did not get off the ground in January, but February 1st, I held my very first Women Rising Roundtable, and it was amazing. We met on a Saturday for 2.5 hours, and we talked about reinvention. There were journaling activities, and we discussed what reinvention meant to us, and it was amazing. So then on March 1st, we had another one, and that was all about working through self-doubt so that you could do the things that you really want to. And that was another amazing one. I think in the first roundtable, there were 6 of us. In the second, there were 5 of us. And there's space for 12, right? And so this month, this Saturday, is the third one. And I am so pleased with the reception. It is such a great safe space to share your thoughts, but also to kind of work through how you can develop and grow and feel empowered as a woman. And so the topic for this Saturday's Women Rising Roundtable is all about making decisions, and it's called Prioritize You, the art of decision making. And this is all about, sometimes as women, we can tend to put everybody else first and make decisions based on what might be best for other people. And that doesn't serve us. That doesn't get us to the place that makes us happiest. And in turn, when we're happier, the people in our lives are happier. And so this conversation is going to be all about how to make decisions where you take yourself into consideration, your values, your wants, your needs, and how to make decisions like that without having guilt. And so it's going to be an amazing session. If you are interested, there are still slots for that. And you can go to thecouragecatalyst.com/roundtable. And let me put that caption up so you can take advantage of that. So that's the first thing. So this year, I launched the Women Rising Roundtable, and I am so excited to continue the work that I've started there. If that speaks to you, be sure to check out what's going on this month and in months to come. Okay, so that is the first order of business. Let's see what we've got in the chats. I see some other people have joined. I'm still blurry. All right. Well, I'm going to be blurring this video, unfortunately, because I don't know how to fix it. And we are going. Okay. So want to move on to the second thing that I want to talk about. And that is, what is it? Recently, the reason that this roundtable is on April 19th and not in the beginning of April was because I was traveling. I decided I was going to take a trip to Antibes in the south of France, near Nice, because there was a Project Management Institute conference going on. Now, in my past life, I was a project manager for an insurance company, a health insurance company, and I was a certified, or still am, a certified professional project manager, a project management professional. And in order to retain that, I need to take courses and get credits. And so this year is the year that I have to re-up. And at the beginning of this year, I probably needed about 54 out of 60 credits. And so I thought I can listen to podcasts, but that's the slow way to get it. So I decided to sign up for this Project Management Institute France conference in Antibes, and I decided to go. Now, this is a conference that was all in French, right? It's the first conference I've ever been to where, everything was done in French. And I was a little concerned whether or not I would be able to follow along or if I'd be lost. I never worked in project management with, with the terms in French, but the conference was great. I understood everything. Some of the project management terms are in fact in English. So it was great. I met some wonderful people. And you know what? I learned so much. Now, I'm not going to go into all that I learned because I just released a video on Thursday where you can watch the key takeaways that I gained. But it was for sure an amazing event. And actually, I think I have some pictures that I want to share with you. Is it this one? I think it might be this one. Oh, wait a minute. How do I add a scene? Here we go. Let's see if I can do this technology. All right. All right. So this is me at the Project Management Institute conference outside. I was walking around Antibes before the morning of, it started the Thursday afternoon. And I just happened on the Palais du Congrès. And I was like, oh, and they have a banner. So ran into somebody who was also attending the conference, and he took a picture of me there. So that was a lot of fun. And then how do I get to the next scene? Oh, here we go. And then this was the afternoon of, and this was the stage was set. The topic was let's put projects to music, and it was really enjoyable. It was like concerts. They played music, but there was also the keynote speakers, and I just took away so much. So as I said, if you're interested in hearing what those key takeaways are, be sure to watch Thursday's video. And let me know what you think about it in the comments. All right. And we've got some comments here. Modalities. Thank you. No worries about being blurry. You're gorgeous. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Let's see. Let's see what else we got here. Wow, congratulations, Patricia. Conference all in French is a huge deal. It makes me smile. Made me smile too, because some of the speakers were talking pretty fast and I was catching just about everything. So I feel like I have definitely come a long way. Definitely have come a long way. So that was the first 2 days. That was Thursday and Friday. And then on Saturday, I decided that I was going to be, since I was going to be that close to Italy, and I'd never been to Italy, I was going to take the train from Antibes to Italy. And so that's what I did. And I went to a town called, here's some more pictures of Antibes. Oh, let me hide this. Antibes, me in a square in Antibes, me at my hotel. They had an amazing garden. Me, one of the workers there said she wanted to take a picture of me in front of these stairs, and I'm giving her direction. Oh, the sun's there, so you need to be over here. Of course, directing. But the staff there was amazing. Then on Saturday, I went to Sanremo, Italy, and that is just across the border, not too far from the border. And I had an amazing time while I was there. As I was getting off the train, I thought to myself, I think maybe I'm going to leave here with an Italian boyfriend. Well, not quite, but I did meet somebody. All right, and so this is the promenade in Sanremo, and it was beautiful. The palm trees were amazing. Do I have other images of Sanremo? Oh, my pasta. The pasta was amazing. The dessert was amazing. This is me in front of the Mediterranean. So that was my time in Italy, and it was just 2 days. It was quick, but I'm so glad that now I can say I've been to Italy. I've heard that the food there. People say the food in France is good, but the food in Italy is better. Um, I think the food was good, but I don't know if it was better. What do you think? Let me know what you think about French food versus Italian food. All right. Okay, you want to have the yes, I can put the women's group link in the chat. Hold on. So you have that. It's a good idea. All right, so just did that. So then Saturday, Sunday, I was in Sanremo, Italy, walking around. Oh, I can't just drop a bomb like I met somebody in Italy and not follow up, right? So my first day, I decided I was going to do a walk along video. So that will be coming at some point in the future on my channel. And I walked along the promenade and walked for a long time. And then I got tired. And there was this bench by the sea. And there was a guy sitting on one side of the bench and he was talking on his cell phone in Italian. And I sat on the other side of the bench. And so he had, I don't know, 4 or 5 minute conversation. I'm sitting there, catching my breath, relaxing. And then he finishes his conversation. So then he turns to me and says hello in Italian. And I say hello in French because I don't know any Italian. It turns out he doesn't speak French. I don't speak Italian. He doesn't speak English. So we have this conversation using Google Translate. And the first question he had was, and so I knew where this was going to go. First question he had was, "Are you married?" And I answered honestly. I said no, and I asked him if he was married. He said no. So we talked a little bit on the bench, and there was a restaurant, a cafe nearby by the sea, and he asked me if I wanted to get a coffee. I said sure. So he had his coffee, had my tea, and we continued our conversation using Google Translate. Turns out his name is Raphael. He was from Milan, and he comes to Sanremo each weekend because his mother lives there. And so he wants to his 84-year-old mother. So we have a conversation. We finish our drinks. Then he asked me, "Well, what do you want to do next?" And I'm still not thinking. He had that initial comment. I'm still not thinking, "Oh yeah, this is going to go someplace where I don't want it to go." But I said, "Oh, I just want to walk around. Maybe you can give me a tour of the town." He's like, "Yeah, sure, sure, sure." So we did that, and we're walking along using Google Translate to communicate. And then finally, he says something in Italian that I understood because I know French that needed no translation. And that was, "Do you want to make love?" And he started to say it into the phone. I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, I understand." I said, "No, no, no, no. This is not your lucky day." So he was, nice about it. He continued to take me on the tour, and then we parted ways. So I don't have an Italian boyfriend, and I don't have an even better story to tell you. So that is my story about San Remo. All right. Um, all right, got Dion says Italian food is better. We've got La Dolce Vita. I live in Italy and I love Italian food. I think each is great on their own. Yes. I love this. Eats plants, loves animals. Ooh, I need some popcorn for this story. Run. Oh, that's funny. Renee. Got you screaming over there. But it was just a good exchange because he just thought he would try his luck, and he wasn't offended. He wasn't, he had to, what they say in basketball, you miss all the shots you don't take. So all right. All right. So I'm going to move on to the next topic, or the next place on my trip. So Antibes, France, Sanremo, Italy. And then Monday, I went on to Nice for the very first time in my life. All right. Um, People talk about Nice all the time. I've been living in France for 7 years. I live in the south of France, and I still had not been to Nice. And I had thought about going to Nice before. I even looked at trains to get there, but that was the thing that got me stuck. I'm not a big traveler. I do tend to get motion sick too. And to get from my south of the France, which is south and west, to get to Nice, I have to make two train transfers. So Perpignan to Narbonne, which is a little less than an hour, and I have to get off and then take a train to Marseille, right? And get off, and then Marseille to Antibes or Nice, right? So it's not an easy trip. So that's one of the reasons that I hadn't been sooner. But I finally made it, and I'm so glad I did. When I got out of the train, I said, "Oh, I think I'm going to like Nice," because they had an elevator um, right there on the where I got out of the train, and that's important because I had this small bag, but it was heavy, and I'd been lugging it up and down the stairs in the train station. So this was like, Thank, thank goodness there is an escalator. And so that was my first sign that I was going to like these. And so then I walked to my hotel, which was about 15 or 20-minute walk. And the buildings reminded me of, and I don't have pictures of these, or I would be showing you. They reminded me a little bit of the buildings in Paris, kind of regal. They had an Haussmannian air to them, although I know they have the Italian architecture, but they were pretty, they were neat. The streets were clean. Nice had a good feel to it to me. So my first trip, and here's some pictures. So that's the Mediterranean in the background. This is a memorial to the fallen, right? And this is underneath. Up here is a park and a wall. There's a waterfall up there. It's amazing. And I actually took the steps. There's an elevator, but I took the steps, and I was feeling it the day after and the day after that. Right. This picture is from just in front of the park, just at higher up, but before I got to the park above. All right. And this is from above as well. It's just magnificent views. The weather cooperated. I didn't have the most sun. It was overcast most of the time I was there, but no rain. So that was good. And the fact that it was not sunny was not a bad thing, because when the sun was out and I was walking, I could feel, how hot it was, even though it was, not that hot. It was in the upper 60s Fahrenheit. Okay. And then this is the sidewalk in the park, and they had these mosaics, and they were just uh, spectacular. They were amazing. So I had to take an image of that. And this is an image of me in front of that waterfall in the park. Just incredible. Okay. All right. So then on Wednesday, I had a meetup with anybody who was living in France who follows me, or who was on a scouting trip in France and who follows me. And we had an amazing time. It was scheduled to last about an hour and a half, and we were there for 3.5 hours. So I got some images of that. All right. This is my group. This is my clan here, the Carefree Expat Incubator Program Women. It was the first time that I'd met Lillian, first time I met Lita, and I'd met Renee in Valencia, Spain, during our workshop there. So that was that. So great to meet you all in person. Some other people who joined us for the meetup. That's Linda. Now, the very first meetup I did was in February of 2024, and it was in Richmond, Virginia. I had gone back to the United States, and I'd seen that, I think Janice and Franz had gone back to the United States one time and had done a meetup. And I thought, oh, that's a great idea. So that's why I decided to do it. And I really wasn't sure what the turnout was going to be like, but I decided to do it. And there were, I guess, 12 people who attended. 6 of them were former coworkers, so it was great to catch up with them. But 6 of them were people who followed me on YouTube. And one of them had said, oh, I saw the post just the day before, and I thought I'd come out since I live in Richmond. Now, Linda came all the way from Northern Virginia, DC area. So that's about a 2.5-hour drive to Richmond. But we had an amazing time, and we met each other for the first time there, right? So now in Nice, we meet up again at a meetup. And so it was so great to catch up with her again. Renee, it was big fun meeting so many beautiful people. I mean, and the information that was shared, people who are already living there share information about, what it's like to live there. People who move with pets shared information about how to, transport your pet when you move. Just so much good information. Incredible time. Well, so this was not on purpose. So you are all looking sharp and color coordinating green. We did not send out a memo saying, okay, everybody who's a member of the Carefree Expat Incubator, we're green. We all showed up in green. So I'm not sure what that means, but let's see what Sharon has to say. What Nodalities has to say about what Sharon said. I'd love to have French food for breakfast and lunch and Italian for dinner. Yep. All right. So I don't know if there are any more. I think there's one more. Some others who joined us. So we had an amazing time at the Nice meetup. I think that I will do another meetup. I'm thinking about doing one, maybe in Perpignan. I don't know how many people are living there who might join, or how many people might be doing a scouting trip, but maybe in May or June, because they're a lot of fun to kind of get out and meet people. All right. So what questions do you have for me? I still have some updates, but if you've got questions, you can start to share them. Another thing that I did, and let me get rid of this. How do I get rid? There we go. So I'm back and blurry. Sorry. So another thing that I did this first quarter of this year was that Dr. Christopher Wells and I, we did an online workshop. Now, this is the second workshop that we did together. The first one we did in person in Valencia, and that's where I met Renee for the first time. But the second one was online. It was called Plan, Pack, Minimize for Your Move Abroad. And that was March 22nd. And it was jam-packed with information about how to get rid of stuff ahead of your move, how to deal with the emotions around that. We had some really great tools, a workbook with tools that will help you organize for downsizing and selling things. And that was a success. We had, I think, 11 people join us live. Well, we recorded that, and now that is an online course that is available now. And so if you're planning on making move abroad, you have not started, or maybe you have already started to get rid of things, this is a game changer. And if you're interested in that, I can put that details about that in the chat as well. We don't have a proper sales page because we just released the online course. But if you're interested in learning, having details about what's in the course, you can go to this website, the Clever Expat website. And if you're interested in signing up for the online course, then you can go to, do I have it? It's the HTTPS, thecouragecatalyst.com/plan pack. I think that I typed that right. If you click on it, it doesn't work, let me know. Yes, Robin, you attended the workshop, the Plan Pack Minimize workshop live, so you had the opportunity to ask questions and engage with the other people who were planning moves abroad. It was just, to me, it was the proper combination of the tools and the connection with people, building confidence about, oh yeah, I might have a lot of stuff to get rid of, but this is something I'm going to be able to do because I have the tools and I have the support to do it. So thank you for sharing that. All right. All right. Now, Kenya says that she was in, I guess, in Nice in January, quite a few days of rain. I think it's the rainy season, but quite enjoyable. The light rain was with your stroll along the promenade was so relaxing. So, yeah. Why did I take so long to visit the Côte d'Azur? I am happy in my neck of the woods, right? I was like, we've got the Mediterranean here. I'm about a 40-minute car ride to the beach here. So I can, dip my toes in the Mediterranean whenever I want. And I just really like it here. And as I said, getting to Nice from here is not the easiest. I think the next time if I go again, I think what I'll do is I'll go down to Barcelona and fly into Nice instead of doing all that train, because like I said, I do tend to get motion sick, and the trip there, I forgot to take my my medicine, and so I took the bus to Perpignan. And by the time I got on that train, my head was spinning. I was like, oh, and I've got a full day of travel ahead of me. So I think that is the reason. But if I do it again the next time, I'll go down to Barcelona and then fly into Nice. Yeah, well, so, let me see. DDS Curtis, wish I could have attended the workshop. I'm assuming you're talking about the Plan Pack Minimize workshop. You can take advantage of all the information from that workshop by going to thecouragecatalyst.com Plan Pack to sign up for the course, or you can go to that Clever Expat link I put in the chat to learn more about what was all involved, what you will learn in the course. All right. All right. So where are we? In my updates? Talked about Women Rising Roundtable. Talked about my my project management institute conference, talked about my trip to Antibes and Italy and Nice, talked about the meetup in Nice. So what's left to talk about? What's left to talk about? Well, the other big thing that I did first quarter was I studied a lot for the DELF B2 exam. And to tell you the truth, this was something that I had planned on taking in December of 2024. And I had thought that I was going to sit for the DELF C1 exam, so a level above, but a much higher level, like that's a native level. And in September, I thought, I don't know if that's too high for me, but I'm going to see if I can go for it. So September happened and I didn't get much studying done. October happened, not a whole lot of studying. Still, I was working on my my third book, and so that was taking up time. I was doing all the other things, working my business, so many other things. And so November rolls around, and I'm like, I am not ready to take a C1 level, let alone a B2 level. So I think I'm going to have to kick this down the road. And so I said, okay. And I had started looking at the book. I bought a book, a C1 level book, and I started to study. I started to do the reading comprehension. And you have an hour to take that part of the exam. So I started reading, the different articles. And the problem was I couldn't finish reading the article in an hour. So there was no way that I would be able to answer the questions. So at that point, in November, I said, Patricia, you need to take it down a notch. B2 level is a level that would allow me to go for French citizenship. The reason I was going to go for C1 was because they are changing the level. It had been B1 for French citizenship, and now I think starting next year it's going up to B2. And I thought, I'm going to outsmart them. I'm going to go for C1 so that I don't have to take another French test again. Well, yeah, no, I am not a C1 level. And I found that out because I couldn't even finish reading the written comprehension in order to answer the question. So I said, okay, I'm going to go for B2. I ordered a B2 book and I signed up for a course. French School TV has a YouTube channel. I signed up for his course. And I started that course in January and started studying in earnest then. And I wasn't very confident. I did not feel like I was going to be able to do well on it. So in February, a month before the exam, I had to pay for the exam. And so a week before it was time for me to pay, before the deadline to pay happened, I was talking myself out of it. I was like, oh, Patricia, you need another 3 months. Let's kick this down the road until June. And then you'll be ready. Then you'll be ready. And I went to bed thinking that. The next morning I woke up and I said, no, Patricia, you need to absolutely take this exam. You have a month to put your head down and study and take the exam, come what may. And so I went into Perpignan, University of Perpignan, paid for the exam, and then I was committed. I was like, okay, I really need to study this. Now, this exam, if you don't know, I forgot what it's called, why it's diplôme. I'm not sure what the E stands for, langue française. Anyway, it is a diplôme, which means it's valid forever, like the TCF exam, the Test de Connaissance du Français. That's good for 2 years, and then it's no good. But the DELF is good for forever, except in certain situations. Like it's good forever. I will always have that diplôme. But my understanding for French citizenship is I need to apply for French citizenship within a certain amount of time after having taken or passed the exam. So I need to, school myself in the rules of that, but that's that. So it's a test that has 4 parts to it. It's got oral comprehension, it's got written comprehension, it's got written production, so writing, and oral production, so speaking. And the oral production is you have to do a 5 to 7 minute presentation that's argumentative. And so I'm not really good at, having debates or arguing in English. So that was a big challenge. And then there's a part after you do your presentation where, or your, what do they call it? Whatever, it's really a presentation. And then there's a part after where there is a debate where they ask you questions about why you took that side. And so that was really kind of intimidating. And so I spent most of January and February studying, working on the written production, because I don't do a lot of writing. I do more speaking than I do writing and listening, right? And the oral production, the presentation, because I felt I'm fluent, but how I speak isn't as fluid, right? So there's ums and ahs and pauses and hesitations, and and I'm getting better. I'm getting better, especially after having prepared for this exam. So, so that was the exam. And so I took it on March 13th and 14th. It was 2 days. So the first day was the oral comprehension and the written production and the written comprehension. And at first I wanted to get it all done in one day, but when they told me that it was going to be over the course of 2 days, I thought it was a good thing, because then that would mean that I could rest up. Sure, it wouldn't necessarily be a really good night's rest, but I wouldn't be tired from the 3 tests or the 3 parts before. So, and the second day was the oral production. And I was nervous, I guess 3 weeks, 4 weeks before. I thought, oh my gosh, I think that I'm starting to feel a little bit better about my ability to pass this exam. Oh, and the scoring. Let me tell you about the scoring. So the scoring is, each part is 25 points, right? And you need a total of 50 points, with no less than 5 points in you need at least 5 points in each of them, and a total score of 50 or more to pass. So if you have a score of 60, but say in the written comprehension you got four points, you would have failed the whole exam. You'd have to take the whole exam over again. All right. So that's how the scoring went. So really, to combat my nerves, because I thought that's going to be one of the things that would be tricky. To combat my nerves, 3 weeks, 4 weeks ahead of time, I started listening to affirmations. I don't know if you're familiar with Joseph Murphy, but he is a mind science person who, really talks about how we have it within ourselves to do so many things that we don't believe we're capable of, and we need to visualize, and we need to affirm that we can do those things. And so I started to visualize myself going to the exam, taking the exam, being calm in the exam, so that I could deal with my nerves, because I think that, for me, especially in the part where the oral production, because I didn't have a high degree of confidence. And so that's what I did. And then the day of the exam, I was good. I drove into Perpignan and I felt really good. The second day, I went early because the proctors the day before told me, "Oh no, well your exam is at 11, so and it says 10:30 here, but you need to be there at 10." Well, I didn't need to be there that early, but I got there early, and it might have been a good thing, because I was able to build a little bit of rapport with one of the women who was doing was going to be the person debating me after I did my presentation. And I was sitting out in the hallway, and it was really cold in the hallway. And she's like, "Oh, well, you still have a half an hour. Let me see if I can't find a room for you to sit in that's heated." And so she found a room that nobody was in. There was a teacher in there waiting for her, another classroom to open up. And so she sat me down in there, and it was warm. I was like, "Oh, this is good." And so that really started things off good for me. So how did I do? How did I do? Well, I am very surprised at how I did, because I was thinking that I would, let me get to it, that I would, if I passed, it would be like 50, 55 points. So I surprised myself. This is my attestation de réussite. So I did pass the exam. And my score was 74.5 out of 100. And when I first started learning French, oral comprehension was the hardest part for me. When people spoke fast spoken French, I didn't understand. It just didn't make sense. And I have come so far. And that was the lowest score that I got, right? That was the lowest score that I got. And that surprised me a little bit. I didn't focus that much on studying on that because I thought that I was okay with that. And I think what happened there, 14.5 out of 25, which is fine because it's the more than the 5 that I need, was that it was the first part of the exam. And I've taken the TCF exam 2 other times, and it's always the first part of the exam. And so there are nerves. You've got nerves. And they put the recording on. There were 2 parts that you got to listen to the recording a second time, but there was a third part where you heard it one time and you needed to answer the questions based on that. And I think because, we're just getting thrown in the deep end with this part, when I finished with that part of the exam, I wasn't so sure I had done very well on it. Yeah, because I wasn't like, oh yeah, it's this answer. I'm certain it's this answer. I'm certain it's this answer. And so I didn't have a high degree of confidence with that. But I, did some deep breathing and I didn't let that shake me. I was solid for the second part, which was written comprehension. And I got 24 out of 25 points out of that. That floors me. That absolutely floors me. And I'm very happy with that. And then the part that followed was written production. And for me, that was challenging as I was preparing for it, because you have to write a 250 word, whether it's a letter or an essay. It needs to be argumentative again. And the problem that I was facing was when I was preparing, I was writing the practice writing, and my writing was 300, 325, 350 words. And that wasn't allowing me enough time to go back and to check for mistakes. And in English, I always make a lot of mistakes. So I need a lot of time to do that. And so I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to finish it all and have it be written neatly, because this is all handwritten also. But I was solid. I was like, okay, this is a great topic. I can do this. And I got 19 out of 25 for that. So that was really good. And then the following day I came back and I did the oral production and I got 17 out of 25. So very, very excited to have this behind me. One thing I did learn about myself is that somebody asked me this question: how long did it take for you to, be able to take and pass this exam? And that's a question that I can't really answer, because I've been studying French since 2014, 2015 with the Pimsleur method initially. Then when I moved to France in 2018, I took a proper French class here. And then, here just absorbing and learning and reading and doing things. But it hasn't really been so focused as the 6 months or 2 months, 6 weeks or 2 months before this exam was, because it was heads down time. It was, it was do or die time. And so it's really a matter of the amount of time you put into it, right? If you don't have a full-time job or don't have other responsibilities and you spend 8 hours a day learning a language, you can get up to speed pretty quickly. So that's my thought there. The thing that I learned about taking this exam was that I even though I'm living here and even though I am fluent, even though I have a B2 level and I have a piece of paper to prove that, I'm here in France because of the language. I wanted to move to France because I wanted to be fluent in French. And I am a speaker. My book that I'll talk about in a minute, once that's published, I imagine that's going to be translated into French. And so I want to go on the speaking circuit, both in the United States, but also in France. And so I want to be able to do that at a high level. And so in order to do that, I need to continue to focus and do the things that are going to get me to the next level and the next level and the next level. 2 years ago, I took the TCF exam. And had I started, 6 months later studying for the DELF B2, I probably would have been able to have success. So it's a matter of focusing. It's a matter of focusing. Okay. So let's see if there are any questions here. Hi, Hannah. Good to see you. Here we go. I plan to be just like you, defy the odds that it's difficult to learn a language at an older age. That's what they say, but with practice, anything is possible. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. And what you tell yourself and what you start to believe, right? So if everybody says, oh, yes, it's not possible to do something, and then you start to tell that to yourself, then you know what? You're going to be right. You're not going to be able to do it. But it is possible. I'm living proof. At 58, I passed the DELF B2 exam. And I started learning French just before I came to move to France. So I wasn't a spring chicken. It's possible. What you tell yourself matters. So you can absolutely learn a language at an older age. Congratulations. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's see what we got here. What an accomplishment. Thank you. How long are these results good for? So this is a DELF. This is a diplôme. So that means for certain things, I can use this score for certain things. And for other things, like my understanding of going for French citizenship, I think they want to know that you didn't take this 20 years ago when you were in university. And so they want it to be pretty recent, that, the results need to be within 18 months or maybe 2 years. Like I said, I'm not really sure on what that time frame is, but these results for other things could be valid, forever. It's a diploma. And that's why I went for the diploma. I went for 2 years ago, I took the TCF exam because the French government, sent me to that, paid for that as a part of my visa. I'm on the profession liberal visa, and they wanted to, in order for me to be able to have a multi-year visa, they wanted to gauge what level of French I had. And so they paid for that exam. But it expired in 2 years. So in January of this year, it was no good for anything. And that was at a B1. I passed that at a B1 level. All right. And I really need inspiration today. And this is it. I'm so glad I could help. Yes. Modalities. Thanks for that explanation. I'm just beginning to learn French. These are great tips. So with another tip that I have is that if you're just starting to learn French, start to set goals of potentially taking a TCF exam or a DELF exam at a certain point, so that you have a deadline and something that pushes you so that you can push yourself a little bit further. Like, I was fluent in French before I took this DELF exam, but I was making mistakes. One of the things that I did to prepare for the presentation portion was I had 2 friends who helped me out, and I would get a topic from the internet, and I would send it to them, and then I would give myself the 30 minutes to prepare it, and then I would have a conversation. I would do the presentation in front of them, and then they would debate me, and then they would tell me the things that I might not have said properly, and so that was a learning experience, because while I might be fluent, I'm still making mistakes, and nobody in the street is correcting me. Oh no, it's this instead of that. And so I learned that much. But as you're learning, I think that definitely you want to set these milestones to test yourself and to push yourself, because like I said, if 6 months after I took the TCF exam, I said, okay, now my next level is B2, then I would have gotten here sooner. And then who knows what level I would have today. So, and best wishes with your French. The books and resources that I'm using to prepare, that I use to prepare, Hannah, I don't have them right at the top of my, what I can do is, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a video about my learning language. I have a few videos out there. Definitely can do that. The course I took, the preparation course I took, was French School TV YouTube channel. You go to there, you can learn more about that, and that was helpful because that gave me an opportunity to submit my written piece, so they could make corrections, and they could give me help and pointers to improve that. During the course of the calls, they broke down how the test was structured and exactly what they were looking for. So in the written part and in the oral production part, for an argumentative, presentation, you needed to make sure you had connectors, logical connectors, like first of all, next, so that to prove that you have that certain level. So they talked about all the things that you need to make sure that you are putting in there. And then there was an opportunity to give the presentation during the course. So it was really helpful. Other resources, yes, I can put them in. I'll put them in the comments later, because I don't have them all listed, but that's a good question. So the final thing, we're at 7 o'clock. I'm talking a lot today. The final update that I want to give you, question here: will I be applying for citizenship? I will be soon. That is my aim, and we'll see how that goes. All right. Okay. Do I know Janice in France? I know of her. I follow her channel. I don't know her personally. Maybe one day we will meet, and maybe we'll have a meetup together. That might be fun. Yes, I think we would get along. Okay. The final update that I want to give you is my book. So I've been talking about writing my third book. The beginning of last year, I finished the draft of that third book, which I had set a deadline for the end of 2023, and I missed the mark by about a month or so. And I was so glad to have that out of the way. And then I had a first reader read it and give me some constructive criticism on it. And so then I was like, okay, back to the drawing board. And I got some inspiration that I needed to change some things up. So back to the drawing board in spring of last year. So spring of last year through summer, beginning of fall, I was working away at this third book. So by the end of last year, I was like, okay, this draft is good. This draft is solid. Had another first reader take a look at it, and got feedback from that last month, the month before last. and I didn't have time to focus on it, but I'm like, okay, these are some constructive things. I definitely see where this could be improved in terms of the first chapter, just setting myself up for success for the rest of the book. And so I need to rework the first chapter and then modify some small things throughout the other chapters, but the rest of it is solid. And my aim is to find a publisher, find an agent, and get this traditionally published. The first two books that I wrote, I self-published, and I'm so glad I did, because I had a message to get out there and I didn't want to wait for somebody to see what I had to offer. But now I'm ready to take this next challenge, and I actually signed up for a program that will help me with the querying process. And I started working on that in January, and then I had to stop that and just focus on the exam. And so now that I have an intern, I hired an intern, and she started yesterday, and she's amazing already. Like, she's hitting the ground running. I think that I'm going to be able to find a little bit of time so that I can focus on getting that first chapter where it needs to be, making the other changes throughout the book. And then once that is solid, then I can do the steps to find a literary agent and get this thing traditionally published. So that is my aim. That's where I am with this book. I'm ready. I'm so ready for you to all to read it. It recounts, it's a memoir. And so this is the first book that doesn't have a self-help component to it, but it really addresses the question why this homebody who never thought about living in a foreign country, all of a sudden got this wild hair of an idea to live in a French-speaking country. And why, and that question was something that I wouldn't say haunted me, but was always in the back of my mind throughout my first 6 years living in France. And so the book is there to explore why France? And so that's what the book is about. You asked, do I have French suggestions for French language schools that would accept U.S. citizens on student visas? I do not. There is a site, what is the name of that site? That you could go to that talks about studying French. And that would be Campus France. That would be a good place to start, I think. And we put that in the chat, Campus France. There you go. Yes, Hannah's looking forward to the video about learning French. Yeah, I'm going to take, I talked quite a bit about, studying for the DELF exam, but I'm going to, do a video that is really focused on that and structured to help you all. All right. So those are my updates. I am so glad that you could join in person. I'm so glad if you are watching the replay that you could watch the replay. If there are any other questions, you've got a minute or so to get them in the chat. Otherwise, we're going to call it a live stream. So glad so many of you could join in person. This has been amazing. Oh, so final words. So if you are interested in joining the Women Rising Roundtable on Saturday, April 19th, you can find information about that at thecouragecatalyst.com/roundtable. And I'll put that in the chat again. Love to see you there. There's still slots available. If you're interested in the Plan Pack Minimize workshop, the online course that is recorded, you can go to thecouragecatalyst.com/Plan Pack, and you can register for that. If you need details about that, you can go to cleverexpat.com to find out details about it. So put that in here, couragecatalyst.com/plan pack to sign up for plan pack online course. And let's see. And here's the information for if you need information about that workshop. And if you're interested in working with me, whether one-on-one coaching, if you're interested in learning more about the Carefree Expat Incubator Program, where I help single women ready to start the next chapters of their lives, living and thriving in a foreign country and having a safe, supportive community, you can schedule a complimentary discovery call to learn more about that. Learn more about one-on-one coaching if that is more up your sleeve. And if you are interested in learning more about my experience in France and have questions, want to pick my brain about moving to France or what it's like to live in France, you can schedule an information session. And here is the link for that. All right, so those are all the links to work with me. If there are no questions, Sharon says these were great updates. So glad that you could join, Sharon. Thank you. Igami said, yeah, this was great. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Nodality is so happy that that they could join. Take care. All right. Yes. So that's it. I will see you next time on a live stream. Be sure to check out my last video where I talk about the takeaways of my Project Management Institute conference. That's the video that I released this past Thursday. And I will see you again next time. Take care. Bye-bye.